MA in English and Yoga, M.Ed, M.Phil and Ph.D. in Education. She has teaching experience of more than 3 decades to UG and PG in Education and Yoga. Her specialization areas are education, philosophy, yoga, and educational technology. Madam served as visiting faculty at UVF Chandigarh since 2018, LM Thapar School of Management, Derabassi, Punjab since 2017, Chandigarh College of Engineering and Technology since 2017, and she also acted as senator, nominee, member of syndicate, member of board of studies and faculty of education. She has also developed new teaching model and plan for teaching of yoga. Ma'am has organized and attended more than 15 professional training programs at state and national level. She also served as a resource person at various levels at regional and state levels, workshops, seminars, and conferences. She participated and presented her paper in various seminars, conferences, workshops at national and international platforms. She published chapters in many books in the field of education. She also published various research articles, and she is a joint editor of a research journal, Trends in Education, published by Extension Services Department, Government College of Education, Chandigarh. She is a member review panel for Research Journal of Riyadh and Bahara Journal of Education. This is the brief introduction of an extended career of Dr. Jasvir Kaur ma'am. Now I invite madam for her deliberation on the topic, that is workshop on CV, role of CV or resume. Now ma'am, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Ramanji. Very kind of you to have introduced elaborately. I'm grateful to you for that. And at the very outset, I'm grateful to Pargatji, entire faculty of GHG Khalsa College of Education, Gurusar Sadhar, and the entire management and students community of this great college. I'm indebted for giving me this opportunity to be with you and share our thoughts with each other. At the very outset, I will like to share my screen with you. Just a second. Is my screen visible to you?
Ma'am, not yet. I think it may take few seconds. It's not started yet, ma'am.
I have shared it, but
that is share screen button, ma'am.
Yeah, share screen button. But since your screen is being shared, so I believe my screen.
No, ma'am. We haven't used the PPT.
Why is it not coming? Because I have shared it.
Can you try once again, ma'am?
I'm constantly trying it. There will be a technical difficulty because I'm sharing it, but I can't see my screen being shared.
Yes, ma'am. Right now it's not visible. Ma'am, are you using the share screen button simple?
Now it is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's now visible, ma'am.
Is it visible now?
Yes.
Ma'am, now the Zoom meeting is visible, I think. Your desktop is shared. Yes, presentation is on, ma'am.
All right.
You can put in a slideshow mode, ma'am.
Then I'll not be able to see you people.
Okay, fine, ma'am. Fine. ठीक है. Okay, जी.
I'll
Please.
keep on going there. That will make me easier, so that if there is any query, then I can take it simultaneously.
Yes, fine. Go ahead, please.
So today the duty which has been given to me, assigned to me, is resume writing, the details of it. We'll be dividing our session over 2 days and in 2 sessions, today and tomorrow. Today, largely, I propose to concentrate around the theoretical constructs of the resume writing workshop. Now, first of all, the title says it's CV writing workshop. I would like to give my humble submission that let's rename it as resume writing workshop. Why? For that, please wait for the appropriate time. That why should we list it as resume writing workshop and not CV preparation? My first question to all of you, the young people around, and even the people like me or younger than me or older than me, why should we write the resume? That is the first question. The primary thing is that we are living in a world where isolation is not possible to us. If we isolate, then perhaps a major part of our existence gets blocked. So, in order to exist, in order to live, we need to communicate. And therefore, we need to write the resume. But before we start writing our resume, it is important that if we are, for communication purposes, we are writing the resume, then we must understand as to what is communication. What are the main objectives of communication? So why should we prepare a resume? First, to reach out so that we can show our inner self, or we can tell the world, we can tap the communication with the others to reach out. Then not simply reaching out, but to get across also. Whatever we are saying, that should become meaningful also. It should not be reduced to a meaningless blabber. It has to be meaningful. So we must get across, we must be able to convey the message which we want to convey. And then next is to understand. Resume writing will always be a two-way process. It will never be a single end process. You have to understand, and you also have in this process of give and take to be understood. So first, understand the others, and then you start making them understand you. Now, as far as the types of communications are concerned, there can be umpteen media or numbers of varieties through which we can communicate. It can be verbal, it can be non-verbal, it can be written, it can be visual, it can be e-communication, and the finest of communications can be the silence also. Now, as far as the verbal communication is concerned, we have face-to-face mode, we have telephonic mode, we have radio mode, we have television mode, and also we have the other media, right? So it is through non-verbal, very important part, though not a part of resume writing, but when you are living your resume, when you are presenting your resume, when after the presentation of your resume, you're being called for the interview, maybe electronic or maybe the physical one, then very important part of communication becomes non-verbal, which is body language, your gestures, the way you dress up, the way you act, and even such subtle things of your personality, the kind of perfume you are wearing, the kind of smell, the body odor which is coming to the interviewers, even that will matter. I'll just like to stop here, though it is going to form the details tomorrow. but I'll just like to take one by one. Body language has to be friendly. It has to be balanced. It is not to be over friendly, nor is it to be defensive, nor is it to be offensive. Details of it, maybe a little bit of it, we'll cover tomorrow. Then gestures. Small gestures, they matter. For example, you knock at the door if the door is closed. You take the permission if it is e-permission. Don't just barge into somebody's room, whether it is an e-room or whether it is a physical room. Then once you enter there, take the permission. For example, here also, during e-communications, we have raising the hand, not simply start typing it. Raise the hand if you want to question. Raise the hand if you want to speak. These are small gestures, but they reflect a lot. Then how do we dress up or how do we act? For example, somebody offers you a glass of water. Say thank you after that. There is a chair for the interviewee. Don't just sit on it unless you are asked to do so, and do offer a thank you after sitting on it. So these are small gestures which matter. Then is how we dress up or act. Dressing up sense is very important. If you are going for a formal interview, dress up formally in neat clothes, neat set of clothes. Your dress is reflecting a major part of your personality. And then the perfumes which you wear or not wear. Your body should not be smelling bad odor, that is for sure. So you should be taking care of these small things when you are communicating. Then coming to again to written mode, we have letters, we have emails, we have books, we have magazines, we have internet, we have other media. You might be saying that books and magazines are not part of the resume writing. They become a part if you have penned down one. If you have written a book, then it becomes a part of your resume writing. And if you have published an article in some magazine or in some professional journal, then it becomes a part of your written communication. If you're a blogger, if you write blogs, then that becomes a part of your communication. So remember that there will always be other media which will be there. Then we have visuals. Towards the end of today's presentation, I'll share one resume with you, which is making a very judicious use of visual presentations. Graphics and charts, they can be part of the visual presentation, maps, logos, some other media which is visual, and plus the visualizations. Sometimes if you are in the field of performing arts or performing sciences, then perhaps short videos can also be, short video clips of you performing an action can also be a part of your visual resume. Then today we know we are living through very difficult times. History perhaps will always remember this phase of human history as one of the difficult phases. We all know that we have suddenly, in just a span of fortnight, our activities have been curtailed. We are feeling as if we have been limited by the unseen forces around. So these are trying times, these are difficult times, and we have to come out of these difficult times successfully. Thanks to internet, thanks to e-communication, that we are fighting it out bravely. So contemporary, right now, we are waiting anxiously, praying for not to come, but third phase danger is imminent. So that means that perhaps for some prolonged period, we will be over dependent on e-communication channels. So be very well conversant with them, because these are the times when you'll be seeking employment. So be very well versed with e-communication modes. And the different prominent modes are social media, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, LinkedIn, and blogging. These are some of the major ones, though new ones are also emerging. One thing which you have to take into consideration very carefully in e-communication is that it's one of the fastest modes of communication. New platforms are emerging overnight and becoming popular. For example, TikTok became so popular, and so are so many others. So you, as young generation, as an aspiring generation, living through these difficult times, please make sure that you are well versed with the e-communication platforms as well as the manner in which you should be using these platforms. For the biggest danger of e-communication is that once you make something public, that can never be erased from the memory. You may hide it, but you will never be able to erase those footsteps which you have tracked, which you have walked on. Your path can never be erased from the memory. You may be hiding it, but hiding it successfully for a long time may take the toll. Other end of the day, people will discover what you have been doing. So my suggestion, a very humble as well as strong suggestion to you is that tread on e-media channels, but very carefully. Because whatever becomes public once, it's very difficult to evaporate it. It does not get evaporated. So use social media very carefully. Use your language very carefully. Be sure that you are in the public domain. Nothing is private. Even the bestest of the securities will not be giving you the privacy of just you and the media. That will never happen. So remember that whenever you are communicating through e-channels. I love to bring in this slide that many times silence also speaks. Now you'll ask me that in e-communication, what role is silence going to play? Yes, it will play. Many times you will be required to respond. And if your response becomes silence, then it will speak volumes and volumes and volumes. Of course, in the physical scenario, silence can be prominently felt, but its presence can be felt and its impact can be made through e-communication also. So be the managers of meaningful silence. I know it will come with time, but start practicing in it. Because for silence, you have to be still. You have to have a quiet mind. And not only a quiet mind, you need to know yourself. Anyone who does not, just try to imagine, try closing your eyes, and there'll be a continuous conversation within your being. You have to silence that if you want your silence to be meaningful and to attain the desired ends. That becomes important. So be the masters of this art of silence in communication. And silence speaks. Trust me, silence speaks. You don't have to block someone to be silent. Just be silent and the meaning will be conveyed. And once again, I will like to reiterate from my personal as well as professional experience that silence makes the most powerful scream. If you are following the path of meaningful silence, then you can convey very powerful messages to the people around you, and your communication can get yet another dimension. So please remember that you must master the art of being silent so that it communicates. Then if we have to reach out, we said that we need to be understood and we need to understand others. Then in order to reach out, what is important is that we must know ourselves. We must, in order to reach out, you must reach within. And you need to know yourself, first of all, and also to know your profession. That is very important. Because if you do not know your profession, first of all, if you do not know yourself, and secondly, if you do not know your profession, you'll be at the losing end. In order to have the minimum gap in your communication, of course, some gaps remain. I will say that 100% communication perhaps come to the very fewer ones, but our objective is that we must be able to have smooth and 100% communication to the best of our capacity. So for that, you need to know yourself and you also need to know your profession. And 10 habits of effective communication will be listening. You'll say that we are going to write, we are going to say something. Why is listening important? Where does listening come in writing the resume? What happens that majority of the times we do not listen to what is being asked from us. So what happens is that our communication is not along the lines which are expected from us. Vacancy is about something else, expectations are something else, and we are writing something else. So listen to what is being asked. Listening is important. Non-verbal communication is important. Even while you are making your resume through e-media, there's a lot of non-verbal communication. For example, the kind of background which you choose for sending your resume, the kind of format which you choose for that, the kind of font which you choose for that. So all these are non-verbal communications. So, and in otherwise, when it is physical resume, then the quality of the paper, the quality of the ink, all those things, they matter. So second is non-verbal communication. Then is clarity and conciseness. You must be precise. You must be clear as to what you want to say. And at the same time, there should be economy of expression. Using your feelings or expressing your feelings in the minimum number of effective words, that is very important. So be clear in your communication and be concise and precise. There should not be wastage of language. What happens when you start wasting language? People stop listening to you. People stop reading you. So that is why it is important that one thing, you should be clear, and secondly, you should be as precise as possible. But precision does not mean that you should lose some vital portions of your communication. Precision means that only that much which is required, that must be said, right? Then is friendliness. It's very important to cultivate this trait in your personality. You must not use rude language to communicate. Your language must be keeping the options open for the other people to communicate with you. It should not shut us down. It should open all those barriers which are there between you and the person with whom, or the organization with whom you want to communicate. Then confidence. It is important. Say with conviction whatever you are saying. If you are not confident, then what kind of respect are you going to earn from the other people? Then is empathy. You must be able to understand the others also. The empathy is especially in the pandemic world and the post-pandemic world, empathy and all traits of emotional intelligence, they'll be playing a lot of significant role in all our communications, not only personal, not only private, but even in the professional organizations also. People will be, emotions, are running dry. They are in high demand these days because, as I told you, times are testing, times are trying, and emotions are in need, and in need of loads and loads of doses. So be empathetic in your communication. Try to understand the organization. Can anyone give me an example that what role can empathy play in resume writing or resume formation? Just a brief question, that what role can empathy play in resume writing? How will you be able to empathize with others while writing resume? Any volunteers? Hello? Yes, I think you can say it.
Students,
Anyone who wants to say something. Maybe it's wrong, doesn't matter. What is the guarantee that what I am saying is absolutely correct? So please try. Don't go to the chat box. I will share the ideas right or wrong. Yes, please do that. No, all right. So I'll share what has come to my mind when I wrote this point. That empathy, for example, you know that in the contemporary world, we are hit by many calamities. Health, of course, is first one. So being in mental health is the second one. First of all, understanding that the other person does not want to see a gloomy face, wants to be faced with cheerful dispositions. So your language should be the one which is spreading happiness, not the one, not because you want to be happy, because you understand that the person sitting across also wants to be happy. One thing. Secondly, you know that budgets are badly hit. Money has become a problem in the contemporary world. So let's say that if you have to make a little compromise, understanding that what is the problem of the organization or of the employer, that will put you on empathetic ground. For example, what used to happen in the earlier world was that you used to quote a price, that this is the minimum salary package which is acceptable to me. So, how you can remold your resume writing in the contemporary times is by being empathetic, is that you can give a margin, not saying that only this much. You can quote a margin that anything above this package will be acceptable to you. So, these are just one or two examples of how you can be empathetic in your resume writing practices also. You understand, gauge the problems which the organizations are facing, gauge the problems which the people for whom you are preparing your resume, they are facing. Then is open-mindedness. It's important. Never shut the channels of communication, because once you shut the channels of communication, then perhaps you will be the most hard hit in that. So be open-minded. Don't be rigid in your outlook. And that should be reflected through your resume. Then respect. I said friendliness. I said respect also. Respect is also important. Though it is not a part of the scope of this particular workshop, maybe time permitting, I'll try to take it up tomorrow. There is something known as cover letter. One is you prepare your resume, and second is that resume, when it is being sent, there is a cover letter, that is, which says that why am I sending this resume to you. In that cover letter, it is important that you are respectful. Always begin it properly through proper salutations, and always end it properly through proper salutations. If you are unknown if you are a stranger to the people with whom you are communicating, then it must end with sincerely. And if you are familiar with the people with whom you are communicating, then it must end with If it is personal, of course, love and best wishes. But if it is professional, then regards, deep regards, warm regards, these are the things. And if you are in a somewhat senior position and you are sending across the communication, then in the contemporary times, wish for the safety and health and happiness of the people for whom you are writing. So do show the respect to the people. That is important. Then is feedback. You must receive the feedback and you must give the feedback. That is important. Why? Because exchange of feedbacks will always remove the miscommunications. So giving the appropriate feedback, it is essential. Then picking the right medium, that is very important. For example, the language which you choose, e-communication medium if you are choosing, then for example, if it is just chatting, maybe sometimes even the chats, they matter in the job scenario. So be comfortable with the medium which you are picking up. If you are not good at instant conversation, then try to avoid it if possible. But if it is a compulsion, then of course you'll have to take it up. But try, yes? Yes, any question? Any question?
I think, ma'am, someone has unmuted himself or herself by mistake.
Yeah, I put some queries there. Sorry. So pick up the right medium. The language has to be appropriate. Whichever language you choose to prepare your resume in, you should not have grammatical mistakes in that. Remember that. Maybe you get it vetted from the experts, but you do not afford to have mistakes in your communication medium. So effective communication, your presence is important, and in your presence, it is your presence only which is important. And in entire system of making the presence felt, you have to be passionate, you have to be enthusiastic, you have to be captivating, you have to be comfortable, you have to be authentic, and you have to be confident. So if you are having these 6 traits in your communication, then I'm sure that nothing can stop you from communicating fully well. And the total outcome of your communication always is a combination of your body, mind, and behavior. So don't forget that all these 3 backdrops, that is body, mind, and behavior, they are going to be reflected through your resume. They are going to be reflected through your writing or communication. So you can have personal conversations in order to understand yourself, conversation with yourself, writing, solace, your own time, travels, and just silence. These things can enhance your personality in the personal manner. Then, as far as the professional medium is concerned, out of which I've just chosen 2, jobs and research. Research, of course, we'll be leaving right here. But in the job scenario, you will have to have 2 important things. First is resume writing, and second is the interview, based, of course, on your resumes. Now, how to introduce yourself? We come to the point which we actually have to discuss in details today, that what is it that will help you in introducing yourself. Usually these 3 names, they come across us when we are communicating at the professional level. First is resume writing. Then is, you also must have heard that prepare a biodata. Then you also must have heard that how to write the CV, which even today we are having, that it is CV writing. So you need to know the difference amongst the 3 of them. That is, CV is, the full form is curriculum vitae, and biodata, and then is resume. Now, as far as curriculum vitae is concerned, I told you that we will not be preparing curriculum vitae, we will not be preparing CV. Why? Because CV is a descriptive document of your professional attainments. Secondly, it focuses on your academia, research publications, scientific papers, achievements. These are just a few things which CV will be mentioning. Then ideal length for CV, there is no restriction. It can be as long. I have had the privilege of reading a 17-page long CV also. But then the personality was no less than the former principal of the architecture college, who is a renowned painter, not only an architect, he's a renowned painter, he's a renowned spiritual leader, he's a renowned musician, he's a renowned sculptor, he's a renowned writer and a renowned communicator. So I had the privilege of reading 17-page long CV of that great personality. So I will say that length, there can be no restrictions in CV. So it is the next, it is suitable for the research scholars and for the academicians who have a lot of experience, and some freshers only. The freshers, I'm sure that our target population today is the freshers. So for freshers, CV will perhaps not be suitable, writing CV. It is meant for the research scholars. It is meant for the academicians who have attained a lot. And it is meant only for a few freshers where perhaps the details are so many as cannot be contained by resume. So curriculum vitae or CV is means that the course of life. It is a Latin word. It is an in-depth document. It is laid out. It's laid out over minimum 2 pages, and maximum limit, as I told you, cannot be any. It's a high level of detail about your achievements and a great deal about your career biography. Biography will always be the details of whatever your professional attainments have been. Then it covers education as well as any other accomplishments, including your publications, awards, research, honors, etc., etc. It spans general talents rather than specific ones, and it is meant for highly accomplished professionals or people. So, highly accomplished, when we are starting our career, at that point, we are ill suited for being labeled as highly accomplished. I said that maybe for a few freshers. If, for example, I'll give you an example. Have you heard the name Rupi Kaur? Anyone who has heard the name Rupi Kaur? That girl started writing when she was a teenager. And by the time she turned 16, she was a sensation in the world of poetry writing. She had started a new genre of writing. So such people, when Rupi Kaur, she was a college student, she was a sensation all over the world. She had millions of followers of her poetry writing skills by the time she turned 16. So such people, people who are that accomplished, when they enter the world of work, perhaps no resume will be able to consume what Rupi Kaur has attained in her life. So people like her, freshers like her, they will have to definitely resort to writing a CV instead of resume. So the next category is biodata. Biodata at the best describes your personal information. And it contains your contact details, your name, your father's name, your mother's name, your marital status, your current status, your salary, and so on and so forth. Maybe the area in which you are living, that can also be part of it. So it focuses on nothing but your personal information. And it is not a good idea to send it to a recruiter. You will never send a biodata to your recruiter. Ideal length is almost 1 page, and best place to use biodata is matrimonials, and in rare cases, government jobs. Because government jobs sometimes they want to know which is the area of residence, what is your marital status. For example, फौज की नौकरी है, they might want to know your marital status. There are certain government jobs which want the people from a particular geographical region. So if some job has demanded the writing of a biodata, only then you will write it. Otherwise, biodata is a big no-no for writing your communication for a job opening. For job openings, we do not write biodatas. Yes, for matrimonial purposes, for getting married, definitely we need biodata, right? For that, we don't need CVs and resumes. For that, we definitely need biodatas. So biodata is a biographical data. It's old and outdated. It has personal details like date of birth, age, religion, sex, nationality, etc., etc. It may have your picture also, and it is for personal use, mainly for the matrimonial purposes. Now we come to the third category, that is the resume writing or the resumes. Resumes, they summarize your professional profile. It's a summary of your professional profile. It focuses on your skills, achievements, and the professional roles. Just excuse me for a while, please. Thank you. It focuses on your skills, achievements, and professional roles. Ideal length is 1 to 3 pages, never more than 3 pages, but best is 1 page. Preferably, the industry says that for every 10 years, you can afford to have 1 page. So if you have 10 years of experience, stay contained in 1 page. If you have more number of things to share, then go on to the second page after your 10 years completion. And ideal status for you people, I will advise you to stay contained just in 1 page. It is why we write resumes, because it is easy on humans as well as ATS. ATS is application tracking systems. In the automated world of e-communications, many companies, many hiring agencies, they have ATS in place. ATS means that the applicant tracking system will be in place to large number of pages. ATS is not comfortable with large number of pages. So it is comfortable with 1 page. And so is the human. If it is human analysis, some human beings are going to go through your CVs, then also it is advisable that you should try to keep it short. But short does not mean just 1/4 of a page. So 1 page, right? So it is best weapon to target the industries across your job areas. Now, as far as it is a French word, which means summary, it is a concise and precise document. Remember, in my communication portion, I told you that your communication has to be precise. It has to be crisp. It is not to be wastage of words. Rather, there has to be economy of expression as well as words, as well as language. Language has to be beautiful. It has to be appropriate, but concise. Then typically not longer than 1 page. Intended that the reader will not dwell on your document for a very long time. Imagine if there are 1,000 applications and you are writing 3-page resume. People will not have patience to read all those 3 pages. So say whatever you want to say in that 1 page. Then the goal of a resume is to make an individual stand out in the competition. Your resume has to be a unique one and the outstanding one. So you should be able to, your resume, I will say, is the passport to your job. First and the foremost screening for the job will be your resume. So if you are able to strike the chord right through your resume, half the battle is won. So prepare it very carefully, and it should always have summary of your skills. So please go ahead. And remember, whenever you are preparing the resume, 3 C's must be kept in mind. These 3 C's are: resume must be concise. I repeat once again, it must be concise, precise, no wastage of words, no wastage of expressions, right? Then secondly, it should be clear. It should say whatever you want to say. It should not beat about the bush. And thirdly, it should be crisp. The language, the words should be such which convey the right sense, not the near about words, but the exact word which explains whatever you want to explain. So please remember, I will say that never send the first draft or your resume to anyone. Prepare the rough draft, revise it, revise it, revise it, revise it. As many times you will revise it, as many times you'll be able to get the goods out of it. It is important that you must revise it. And as many revisions, careful revisions, not careless revisions. So that is one thing which you should remember, that concise. Please remember these 3 C's whenever you are preparing your resume: concise, clear, and crisp. What is it that is not being afforded by your resume preparation? Details, superfluous details. First person address that I used to do it. Never use the first person address. Haphazardly organized thought stream. One thought coming here, second thought coming there. For example, let's suppose that you are a good writer. You mention one of your books at the beginning of the resume, and second book is being mentioned somewhere in the middle of your resume, and the last book, third book is being written at the end. No, do not organize it haphazardly. Organize it very carefully. It should be as if one thing is flowing out of the other. Then no superfluous material. Minor and irrelevant details should not be mentioned. Messy formatting. Whenever you are formatting your resume, this is a technical thing, that formatting must be good, punctuation must be taken care of. Paragraph writing, indents in paragraph making, they should be same. Not that in one place you are writing single space, and in the second you go double space, and in the third you go 1.5 space. Formatting has to be done carefully. Format your prepared resume very, very carefully. And one thing more, that once you format it, always prepare a PDF, especially when we are having e-communications, because the settings done in PDF, they don't get destroyed. So you have to, or word maker perhaps, if you are not available, just convert it into PDF. The settings will never be distorted. So be very careful about the settings. Messy formatting is not at all allowed. Then dandy fonts, some very, very spirally, fonts. For example, you go in for Lucinda bindings when you are preparing a resume. There will be many letters which will not be readable. So do not go in for dandy and showy fonts when you are preparing your resume. Inappropriate paper quality in case the resume is to be sent physically. The ideal paper quality which is being promoted is sunlit bond paper. If the physical resume has to be sent through the paper and pen resume, then it has to be sunlit bond paper. The type has to be the kind of ink which you use should be very, very good. It should not be that it is hardly visible. So your resume must be in a readable state. And if it is e-resume, then also I told you the background color of the paper which you choose, the background design which you choose. If it is plain, better. White, better. But which kind of color? If it is shocking red, if you choose orange, if you choose saffron, Miss Saffron beige round, because saffron is the color of our flag, topmost color. No, not doing, nothing doing. So choose your background, choose your paper quality very, very carefully. Then let's come to the task of writing the resume. When we are building our resume, so is it decided for all that we are going to write the resume? Nobody is going to write biography, nobody is going to write CV in this particular audience. So we are going to build our resume. The first section of the resume will be the beginning part. And the beginning part must have your name, and it should be your professional name. For example, if your official name is Sunita Sharma, then you must write your name as Sunita Sharma, not S. Sharma, not Sunita, nothing, but whatever is there in your papers. For example, my official name is Jasvir Kaur Chahal. So if I have to prepare my resume, I must write Jasvir Kaur Chahal, not Jasvir Chahal, because popularly some people call me Jasvir, some people call me Chahal ma'am. So I have to write my full professional name. My full professional name is Jasvir Kaur Chahal. This is what the official documents say. So I must write that official name in full. Then address. Address should not flow into number of lines, but at the same time, it should be minimum postal address at the address of which all your communication, your letters can reach through the postal address. But it has to be presented nicely, maximum 3, at the most 4 lines, right? So ideal is 2 lines, 3 lines. But if it is a fairly lengthy address, some of the addresses in our traditional old-fashioned cities, they require. So in that case, you can extend it to 4 lines, but perhaps please do not go in for 5, 6 lines, right? Try to contain it within 4 lines, but ideal 2, 3 lines. Then is your phone number. Phone number must be complete. It must give the country code and the local code. If it is mobile, even then the country code will be required. And you must make sure that only that phone number is being shared, which is your official phone number. We are in a habit of keeping many phone numbers, and sometimes many of the phone numbers, they do not work. So make sure to share only that phone number which is in proper working order if you have multiple phone numbers. And you must make sure that you should be able to attend all the calls coming on that particular number. It should not be that your employer is calling you and you are not picking up the phone, or you are saying, "वो तो पापा का number था, वो तो मेरी दीदी का number था." No, you need, even if you are, maybe at times you do not have your personal phone number, which is hard to believe in the contemporary world. But let's assume that you do not have your personal phone number. But then you must make sure that the number which you give, you attend that call as soon as it comes. Nobody else should be attending that call, right? So you should be very careful while sharing your phone number. Then email. You must have you must be first of all, you must be in a habit of checking your email every once in 24 hours. No email should go unresponded after 24 hours. So within 24 hours, you must visit your email and reply back to all the mails which have been received in your email ID. Secondly is how to prepare an email ID, especially for the professional purposes. Excuse me. Thank you. Now, for example, sweetie16@yahoo.com is a very poor email ID. Sweetie Chandigarh@gmail.com, poor email ID. Ideal email ID for the professional purposes is your professional name Sometimes, because of the paucity of the space and the security, you are not being awarded the email ID on your professional name. Then try to add some characters in that. For example, my email ID is jkchahal20@gmail.com. I prepared this email ID when I used to work in Sector 20 college. J.K. Chahal was the place which was not available for making the email ID. So I added, I did not want to add 16 at the back of it. I did not want to add the year in which I was making this email ID. So at that time, I was popularly known by Sector 20. And everyone who, professional purposes, everyone knew that I'm working in Sector 20. So I added 20 at the back of it. So that is how my professional, I have just, professional email ID is jkchahal20. And I will request you to create a Gmail ID. In the contemporary times, tomorrow, maybe some other email ID is getting better reputation. But in today's world, Gmail is the best portal to get your email ID. Those of you who do not have Gmail email IDs, please create email IDs at Gmail, and please try to create it through your official names, not through Sweet 16, not through the year of birth, not through any of those dandy things which you keep on doing, right? No Polu 16, Polu Marinda at Gmail, no. Official name @gmail.com. And if space is not available at your official name, then maybe you add a hashtag, maybe you add some digit, something like that, and create an email ID and make sure that you access that email once in every 24 hours and reply back to all the mails which are there. Then the one thing which has been added recently is your URL addresses. For example, if you're a blog writer, if you're having some because Facebook earlier was a big no-no for professional settings, but some of the Facebook Live, in fact, it is improving. So Facebook Live has added professional dimension to Facebook. Earlier was a purely personal portal. But with some of the features being added to Facebook, it is somehow becoming official also. But if you are using it, remember, if you are using it for official purposes, then your personal stuff should not be there on Facebook, right? So your Facebook account should be different if you are using it. It should not contain too much of personal information. Otherwise, it is best to avoid Facebook because there are other professional portals which I'll be sharing gradually with you. LinkedIn is the best top ranking professional portal today. So if you have a LinkedIn account, and remember, never mess up with your LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is meant only for professionals, and so far, till date, LinkedIn is maintaining its professional identity. So people who start writing personal things on LinkedIn, they are being given a warning that this is not Facebook, that you are sharing your personal details. So LinkedIn is the best ranging, professional portal for sharing. Instagram is also some of the times being shared for professional purposes. So if you have those URL addresses, then they also need to be shared. Towards the end of the talk, I'll share one resume which lists all these things, right? So I'll be sharing it with you towards the end of our presentation. So then this is as far as the beginning is concerned. Then we come to the main body of the resume writing. You don't have to write introduction, you don't have to write main body, but this is how the resume flows in. So main body will include your summary of your career summary or your educational. If, for example, if you're a fresher, then you obviously cannot have a summary. So then you will write some objectives or something in very one or two lines as to what you have been doing so far. Then skills and competencies, related experience, that experience which matters to that particular job, professional qualifications, and followed by interests only if they are outstanding, and achieve if you have some achievements. For example, just writing for the heck of it that singing is my hobby. Have you represented it yourself at Indian Idol? If yes, then do write it. But if you're a bathroom singer like me, then please don't write singing as a interest. Reading. Many people will write reading as an interest. What will you be able to justify that you are an avid reader? If yes, then write it. If you have not read a new book in last 1 year, then reading is not your interest. So write your interests very carefully. Then how to build your resume? Once again, this is fourth or fifth time I'm saying that be concise, conservative formatting, no dandy formatting, conservative formatting. Lead with the best results. Mention your best results first and your least performing results later on. Then quantify the achievement as far as possible. I'm sharing 2 resumes today with you. One of it quantifies the achievements. So it is always best if you can quantify your achievements. One of the resumes will be quantifying the achievements. So quantify achievements as far as possible. Why? Because that leaves no miss in the mind of your the people who are wanting to hire you, the people who are going to be your prospective employers. If you quantify your achievements, then straight away you are telling them that I am an achiever. And if obviously if it is 1% achievement, then please don't quantify it. It has to be more, it has to, numbers have to be respectable in order to quantify it. If somehow you think that, for example, if you say 10% of my students passed in my class, don't quantify it. Yes, if you say that 90% of the students attained first division, quantify it. Go ahead, right? So even, when you are presenting yourself, you have to be very careful. You have to put your best foot forward. वो घर में जब कोई फंक्शन होता है तो हम अपने आप को बेस्ट प्रेजेंट करते हैं ना, तो in the same manner when we are preparing our resume, it is our presentation which matters, and we must put our best foot forward. So focus on the results and the impacts of whatever you have been doing so far. And then web links, if they are available of your achievements, then do mention them, right? For example, in LinkedIn, if some top ranking professional has appreciated you, do give that link there in your resume, right? Then as far as the types of resumes are concerned, we can have 3 types of resumes: chronological resumes, functional resumes, and combination of the 2. Now, chronological resumes are the ones which proceed from date-wise. The order of the resume writing is that proceed from the latest to the farthest. For example, wherever I am. Now, these days, I am visiting faculty of University of Fraser Valley. So I should start saying it with that, what I'm doing currently, because whatever is past, that is bygone. That was in the past. Of course, that is important. But what is most important is what I'm doing right now. So chronological order must follow from the recent to the farthest. And then you don't have to write your schooling or your college education a lot. You don't have to dwell a lot on that, especially the achievements which are not there for the past 3 years. For example, you used to be a footballer in your school team, but after that college happened, after that university happened, and you never touched the football after your school, then football no longer remains your achievement, even if you have played for the national level. Remember that. So in chronology, proceed from the latest to the farthest, but all that which is redundant, all that which has lost its meaning, that is not to be mentioned there. Then second type is functional resumes. Functional resumes are the ones which are revolving around the main functions which are there for the job. Definitely, remember the first skill in communication, listening. You need to understand the qualifications which are demanded. For example, let's say that you are applying for a school which is an English medium school. So that means if it is an English medium school, your fluency in English language will matter. For example, if the school says that we are rural based school, then that means your easiness, your ease with working in a rural environment will be of great value to that particular school. Or for example, if you can present it like this, that I have my roots in the rural areas, but I am well traversed all over the urban areas, still better, right? So listen to what the employer is asking for. For example, Azim Premji University, rural university, it's a tribal university. So best skill which will go very well with this particular tribal university will be that people who are open to the tribal areas, people who are care for tribal areas. So always functional resumes, they are always prepared for keeping the functional aspect in mind, that what is being demanded. According to that, you prepare your resume that is labeled as functional resume. Then is combination. Combination of the two means that you combine the expectations of the employer also, and you put it in the chronological order also. So that combination resumes are always advocated. If you are able to merge the two aspects of chronology as well as functionality, they produce the best of resumes, and that is known as combination resumes. Now, in chronological order, what happens is job experience, education, co-curricular or extracurricular activities are all listed in descending order, with most recent items appearing at the top of the page. Each job title should be followed up with a description of your duties, accomplishments, and the skills in that particular position. For example, I write, like I have been teaching in Dashmesh Academy, Shri Dashmesh Academy, Anandpur Sahib. So whenever I say that I used to work as English teacher in Shri Dashmesh Academy, I must write as to what was expected out of me. What was it that I accomplished while being in that particular position? So each job, each experience, each event which you are writing in the chronological, briefly, not in details, briefly you must tell that what did you do in that position. For example, you say that I was NSS volunteer in my college. You write that I was NSS volunteer, and maybe you were not the president of the NSS club, but you are just an NSS volunteer. Being just an NSS volunteer can be a big thing. You worked for the rural literacy campaign. So right under that accomplished how much mission? Maybe 100% literacy for the adopted village. So you became instrumental in that. You prepared a lesson for the adult learners during that program. So list that what did you do in that, right? Then follow your work experience up with an educational section in a similar chronological format. After you have mentioned your professional qualifications, then come to the educational ones. Because yes, for the freshers who have no professional experience, for you, educational will come first because you have no professional experience. Try to, for example, you people, I know that you people are right out, you're going through your teaching practice. 3 months, 6 months of teaching, it's not a mean job. So list that experience at the top as your professional experience. Then come to your educational experience. I know that it is not professional in the sense that you are not being paid for it, but yet You're working as assistant teachers in the schools. You're working as independent teachers in the schools. So whatever, keep a tab, make the videos out of best of your lessons if you can. Deliver very good lessons and try to prepare a support material that how you can involve the students in teaching. So these are the small things with which we can make our resumes unique as well as meaningful, as well as the ones in the, I hate to use that language, but I'm using it, that prepare a resume which sells. If you have delivered a beautiful lesson, and if you have a 5 minutes or 2 minutes clipping out of that, सोने पे सुहागा, देखते ही employer चाहेगा, अरे मेरे पास भी ऐसा teacher आ जाए, right? So prepare your resumes with a vision and with a difference. And functional resumes, of course, are the ones which are according to the job requirements. So highlight several key areas of experience, responsibility, and the accomplishments. Plenty of description and context which follow each other in the relevant sections, and you sport your strengths. Definitely you don't highlight your weaknesses. So sport your strengths through the numbers or through the attainments which you have done. And those attainments you must have a proof of. For example, you say that I organized, let's say, debate competition successfully, then you yourself must be a good debater. If you are not a good debater, if you are not a good orator, then writing that will be futile, because what if they ask for it in the interview? You will not be able to support it. So functional resumes come in handy if you are a young graduate and not with much of job experience, then you can do it. But pay careful attention to the job listing. As I told you, that you must listen to what is being asked for. If you are being asked to work in the rural setting and you say that I worked in the A-class city successfully, then your success in A-class city is not of much importance or much relevance for that. Then the goal of the functional resume is to target the review and the exact reasons why you would want to make as the best candidate which they hire. You should be selling yourself fully well. Thank you. So combination, of course, is, as I explained it to you in details, that combination resume is that which always combines chronology with the functionality. So they become the best, but still you can choose. I will advise you not to follow chronological ones, follow the functional or the combination ones. Then essentials which you must consider, the source for this is LinkedIn, which I told you is one of the very professional website portals, web portals for the professionals. All kinds of professionals, they are there. So I will advise you to create a LinkedIn account. And LinkedIn gives this advice in preparation of resumes. They said that your resume must reflect growth-oriented mindset. Your resume must exhibit that you are a person who loves growth. Then curiosity and motivation also must be reflected through that. It should be data-driven and goal-oriented. It should have versatility. Many multifarious aspects of your personality must be touched upon. Then it must include your co-curricular or your extra achievements, which are not there for everyone. So writing sequence, I repeat once again, it has to be personal details, that is your official name, full address, PIN code must be there, mobile number with country code, email. I explained it to you, social media, blog links, only if they are of substantial importance, but if they are of no importance, then it should not be there. Twitter account only if you have been careful while tweeting. If you have given some mischievous tweets out or some stupid tweets out, never share your Twitter account then, though people will reach it, but somehow try to avoid it if there are any embarrassments in your social media, right? Then you must write objectives only if you do not have experience. If you have experience, then it is not required. Even when you have experience, Sometimes you can include objective writing. But when you are writing the objective, you must be careful as to in which situation you are writing the objective. Are you seeking the fresh job or are you changing the job? So accordingly, you must keep your objective in mind. And in the end, you must have the summary also of your resume, right? So I'll take up your questions. There are a few queries. I'm going through them, but I'll go through them once, just one slide left, and I'll be going through that, right? So writing sequence so after we also must have professional experience. We should have personal qualifications. No boxes, please. No lines. No hashiyas. No boundaries. Please don't use those things, right? No colorful demarcations. एक line किसी और रंग की, दूसरी line किसी और रंग की. Don't go in for that. Professional skills should be listed. Certifications are very important, and you are very lucky to be the students of your principal, esteemed Dr. Pargat Singh Garcha. Dr. Garcha has done wonders in certifications, and I'm sure that perhaps in this region there is no better personality than him to guide you as to how you can have added benefits of certifications. Please go in for online certifications. They are rampantly available. Go in for the good ones. And I'm sure that Dr. Garcha will be able to guide you in this particular direction. You are lucky to be his students. So please enhance your skills through online quality courses which are available. And if you have certain skills, then do mention them. If nothing at all, then engage yourself in certain activities. For example, just become a social worker and list it, record it and list it, so that if people are wanting to ask you to give the documentary proof, you should not be lacking in that. And then you should mention the prizes and merits if you have. But once again, if you have talked in school, it is of immaterial. Yes, if you have talked in the university or board, then it is important. For example, you taught the Punjab School Education Board in your 10th class or 12th class, do mention that. But not very important, but yes, important. But most important is your recent education. For example, your B.Ed degree, your M.Ed degree, your bachelor's degree or master's degree if you have, they are more important, right? So interests, as I have already explained you, that how you should be mentioning your interests, that is important. Then must do's. Please pay attention to all these points. You must prepare your own resume. Do not get them made from the professionals. Professionals only cut and paste and prepare your resumes. And the experts who are there on the job panels, they know that it is a resume which has been prepared by someone else. So never ever get it prepared from someone else. Prepare your own resume. Show it to the experts. You must be having some good teachers around you. You must be having your senior colleagues around you. You must be having some successful people in the industry. Show them, show your resumes, prepare your resume well. ऐसा नहीं कि सब खचमच करके दे दो जी अब इसे ठीक कर दो. No. Prepare your resume well yourself and then show it to the experts. Keep your resumes always ready. ऐसा नहीं कि जॉब आई तो फिर आप प्रिपेयर करोगे बैठ के. Keep updating your resumes. Bring about changes in your resumes for every new job application and for every new concern or company. Because every new, even for example, I'm a teacher and I'm being asked to give lectures, you know. So whenever I send my CV or short resume or, brief introduction, I always make a minor change in that. For example, if somebody is calling me to deliver a lecture on philosophy, then I highlight that I am still teaching philosophy. If somebody is calling to deliver me a lecture on, let's say, teacher education, then I highlight that I've been in teacher education, industry for more than 3 decades. So always bring fine tuning जो है वो हमेशा करते रहे अपने resume में. according to the opening for which you are applying. Then support your claims statistically with proofs, and there should be no lies at all in your resume. Not at all, no lies at all. Do not lie. Do not make a claim of something which you have not done. It's a big, big no and big warning. Do not use the words which others are using just because others are using, just because it is a selling word. No. Never, ever tell lies in your resumes. You should be able to justify whatever you are writing. Be yourself. Everyone is unique. So be there. I'll share one story that once upon, I know time is flying fast. Once upon a time in the IAS interviews, one person who had knitting as a hobby, one male person, he said in the interview that knitting is my hobby, and he was selected. And he has recently retired from a very topmost position of the services. So never ever lie, never ever feel little in doing things which are your passion. Then your preferred font size for preparation of resumes must be 12 and 14, and Times New Roman should be your ideal font which you should be using. Strong don'ts. Never put date on your resume, because it is assumed that you have updated your resume on the date on which you are sending. For example, today is 28th. If I'm sending a resume today, I don't have to put 28th. It is assumed that I have updated it on 28th. No signatures are required unless somebody asks for it. Government organizations usually ask for it. Do not put signatures. Why? Because you are sending your resume and it is acceptable. You are responsible for that. Your signatures are no testimony to that. No pictures unless you are asked for it, or unless you are in an industry where your personality matters. If you are at a public dealing place, then perhaps your personality matters. So then put in pictures, and otherwise only if they are asked for. People in fashion industry, people in hospitality industry, people in the public dealing industry, people in the food industry, they are required to furnish their photographs, so they do it. Otherwise, don't send your picture unless you are asked for it. So no references. Don't give references. References should be given only if they are asked for. But if somebody very high in the industry has given you a reference, has written an appraisal for you, do share it. For example, if a vice chancellor of a university has given you appreciation remarks, do share it. They are important, right? But unless and until they are asked for, do not give references. No first person references, sentences with I am doing this, I am good at it. No. Big no. Then no date of birth, no marital status, no family status, no physical area which is to be shared. So I summarize all that, what I've been saying. We had 10 essentials, in which that we will have contact information. Then in optionals, we'll have experience and education. So then writing the objectives is this is the last slide for today. Writing an objective is important, because when to write, you write objectives when you are early in your career or you are changing job. Then how to write traditional is that you define the role and you discuss the skills. Poor objective is the one which fails to focus on the attention of the reader. The reader is wanting something else and you are writing something else as your objective. That will be becoming a poor objective. And that objective which does not make it clear as to why you are applying for this particular job. For example, if you are changing a job, if you are changing the area, then you must write an objective. If you are fresh in the field, you must write an objective. Then a strong objective is one which makes it clear that why you are applying for that particular job. And secondly, it focuses on advanced and specialized skills. This is all for today, and I wish you a very happy career and happy lives ahead. With this, I come to the end of the first portion. Thank you so much. There are a few chats. I'll quickly take through that. And a request to the organizers, please let me know. Yes, students, please don't go away. I'll be sharing 2 resumes with you. But before that, we have to switch off from the live mode. I'll request the organizers then whenever we are off from the live mode, please let me know. And in the meantime, I can answer the chats. If I can take up, ma'am, is this okay to add future ideas in resume? Yes, that will be Priyanka. That will be your object. That will be covered under your objective. Sukhdeep wants to know that, ma'am, how can I position myself for a career or industry change? I told you that, yes, we can, Pargat sir, Amandeep ji, we can take